Yeah, so surfing puts it all together. There are many, many activities, and I think we both share a love for most, if not all of them. Surfing kind of puts it all together on a small day, on a big day, on a scary day, when you're learning, um, when you're out surfing with your loved ones, with your friends. It puts all of the best of the mind together. Um, and every day is different. So
Mm,
there's sort of an axiom in marketing 101, which is repetition with novelty.
mm,
That is sort of your equation. Just like log that idea in the back of your head and use it. If you do repetition without novelty, people ignore what you're saying and they no longer hear it. So the car alarm is going off, and then after 10 minutes, you don't notice it anymore.
mm.
If your marketing is about repetition but not novelty, then it's ignored. If it's just novelty without any repetition, it's always different. It's confusion.
Mm.
So when you combine those two things, um, you get people remember, which is the goal of marketing. So what does that have to do with surfing? Surf repetition with novelty. It's the same activity. You might be using the same board or three or four, depending on how many boards you have. It's always waves, but then the novelty comes in. None of the waves are the same. The color of the water is different every time. Sometimes there's wildlife out there. It's just constantly changing.
Yeah.
So it's the same, but it's different, and so that's appealing to our monkey minds, right? We like that. We don't want it to always be the same. Um, Even the wave parks that are being created, you can dial up and dial down and change the wave. If you
Mm,
could, I think their business model wouldn't be as strong. But
yeah.
you can change even the manufactured waves are must be changeable. So that's part of it. Um, the whole process you go through when you begin to surf from start if you were going to go surfing right now after this interview and you decided right now that that was the case, your brain chemistry would start to change right now.
Oh yeah. Just saying that spiked it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that surfing begins and ends well before and way after you're in or out of the water. It extends through the story that night that you're telling about the wave you got. Surfers love to stand around and go around and drink beers and tell the story, right?
Yeah.
And so that storytelling fires you up. You empathize with the storyteller,
Hmm.
and you experience some smaller version of what they experienced, and they're experiencing it again by telling the story. So on all of those levels, it's just kind of very emotionally valent, I guess you could say, very personal, but also very shareable, very social. So it's the perfect kind of package for Blue Mind, really.
Yeah.
Uh, Except for when it isn't, when it's crowded or polluted or way too big and way too scary,
Right.
deadly, then that's red mind. But it's even that mix of a little bit of that red mind with the blue mind that makes it um, the repetition with novelty component. So you never know who else is going to be out there. You never know if a bigger wave is going to come and kick your butt. Um, or there might be some wildlife, that you don't really want to be surfing
Right.
with.
Yeah.
Uh, so
I love the when you explained also that, from the exercise standpoint, you're out there, you're surfing, and you get the adrenaline going, and then you get the dopamine going, and so you're just having all that great stuff flowing through your head, and then, you know, like surfers know, you come out and you're just like stoked for a couple hours. It just feels so good. And
yeah,
you're like, that's the endorphins just kind of lasting and lingering in your body. And man, that's like the greatest.
yeah. And
And
a lot of the research is not specifically the research that backs up the statement you just made is not specifically all on surfing. It's on exercise. There's
Exercise.
way more research about your brain on exercise and all the neurological and emotional benefits of exercise. So that's a piece of to your point, what's going on. A day on the water is a hell of a workout. I mean, you work your muscles pretty hard, and so you've got all of the benefits of just exercise going on. But there's a neuroscientist named John Medina who wrote a book called Brain Rules, and I highly recommend it. And what he said is, this is a great summary of the book: we are at our best when we are outside, in motion, solving problems together. And surfing is kind of that. You're outside, obviously. You're in motion. You're exercising. That's the exercise piece. You're solving problems. You're reading the tides. You're reading the wind. You're reading the waves. You're reading the wildlife. You got currents. You got fellow watermen and women that you're navigating, and you're together oftentimes. It can be a very social, can be a very solo activity, but it's best when there's some social element to it. And so just to, that little equation there, outside, in motion, solving problems together, lines up really nicely with this activity we call surfing, and many other activities that involve water as well.
And I think a lot of this also makes surfing so addictive, right? You talk about how actually addictive it is because of this, all that's going on in your brain and with your body, and it's just like you just want more and more of that. And it's hard sometimes to explain that to non-surfers, or for them to understand, that if you haven't been for a couple of days, you're like crawling up the walls in your house to get out there. So